All right, what's going on, y'all? I got an interesting topic I want to talk about today. I'm so thankful to find this little spot to video because I was trying to walk around the park and videotape, and usually Conan just kind of walks by me the whole time, and I lost him. So I spent like the past 30 minutes walking around the park, whistling and calling, and then I just kind of gave up, came back over here, and he was waiting in the gym, the back door of the gym here, which is open, and just so funny. Anyway, so I feel safe here right now. But today I want to talk about something. We're on this counter-conventional wisdom kick. And so I want to talk about lean meats versus fatty meats, or maybe even more specifically, chicken and fish versus beef and pork. Because this always comes up, or not always, but it comes up a lot, and understandably, we're going to talk about it. So as I'm teaching people how to eat real food, whether it's in my private practice with individuals or maybe even in the group progressions, we have our definition of real food, and we get to the animal meats, and the animal meats is a priority. It's our first in the food groups, right? And the reason for that is that we're teaching people how to eat for nutrients. We're teaching people to eat in a way that gives the body everything that it needs to contribute to the structure, form, and functions of the body, right? Which means that we want to eat for nutrient density. We want to eat in a way that gives the body the most stuff to work with. And in our opinion, animal meats by far are going to give the body the most nutrients to work with out of all the other real foods that we have access to. And of course, we promote balance. We promote eating healthy fats, traditional fats, and vegetables and greens and starches and fruits and dairy and all that kind of stuff. But animal meats, we tend to make somewhat of a priority. Anyway, we have our way of doing that, right? So we get to the animal meats realm, and we recommend people eat fatty cuts, bone in, and skin on, because those things have more nutrients for the body to work with. And as I'm teaching this, we have people sometimes, and again, understandably, I have a lot of compassion and empathy here because I was there. I used to do the whole chicken breast and tuna fish and egg whites, mentality. And so I get to this part in the discussion, and sometimes I get some pushback from people. And usually the pushback goes something like this. Well, I only eat chicken and fish, sometimes eggs, right? Or I only like chicken and fish. Or I don't eat red meat and pork, or I don't like red meat and pork, right? And immediately when we start to have this discussion, one of the great things about the way that we teach people to eat real food is that we don't mandate that you do anything that you're uncomfortable with, right? So within the animal meats realm, it's perfectly fine for you to gravitate towards the things you feel comfortable with. So if you only want to eat chicken and eggs and fish, we think that that's great and fine, but if we're trying to eat for nutrients, then we want to maybe consider the possibility of opening ourselves up to things that might give us more nutritional value, okay? Now, if we look at chicken consumption, I think it's a modern phenomena, really. And it's all based around this kind of low-fat, humane treatment of the planet craze that we're in right now, right? Because if you look at traditional farmers typically don't raise chickens to eat them. Traditional farmers raise chicken for eggs, right? And they spend more time raising and cultivating the pork and the beef because that gives you, you kill a cow and you have, literally tons of meat to work with, and you kill a pig and you've got like just a bunch more stuff. You look at chickens and birds in general, and they just tend to be a lot more skimpy and they don't have so much stuff to work with, right? So I think maybe you'd kill a bird. I called Christensen Family Farms, which is where I get a lot of my pork and beef from, and just asked them because they have a lot of relationships with other farmers. And they were like, yeah, most farmers are going to raise chickens for eggs, and they may eat a bird like once a year or maybe once every 6 months or something like that. So we have to understand that this modern phenomenon has come from somewhere. So when someone says that, they typically only like chicken and fish and they don't eat red meat and pork, I think they truly believe that to some degree, but usually that's because of bias conditioning that we've been brainwashed with for our entire lives, right? So for our entire lives, we've been told that saturated fat is bad for us, and that meat is bad for the planet and causes cancer, and eating meat and saturated fat leads to cholesterol problems, which lead to heart disease, and just all the stuff that comes with eating meat and pork, And for some reason, I think that a lot of people truly believe that eating chicken or killing a chicken is more humane or nicer to the animal than killing a cow or a pig for some reason. I don't really fully understand that, but whatever. All right, so here's what really happens though. When people open up to the possibility that these things are actually really good for us, and we start to understand the beneficial roles inside the body of traditional fats and fatty acids and proteins and all the things that come packaged with fatty cuts and bone in and skin on, and eating an animal nose to tail, when people actually open up to the possibility of these things being good for them and they allow themselves to have these foods, what we find is they realize that they do like these things better than chicken breast and tuna fish and egg whites, right? Because if I take a plate, right, and I cook a chicken breast and I put that chicken breast on a plate, that does not sound appetizing to me at all. And if you're honest with yourself, I don't think it's going to sound appetizing to you either, all right? And you can't dip it in ranch. I'll give you some salt and pepper. That's it, right? Salt and pepper, yes. If someone cooked me a chicken breast, salt and pepper, I would eat it for sure. It qualifies as real food, but it doesn't sound that great to me, right? Now, and same thing, tuna fish. Like a can of tuna fish just sounds boring to me, right? Tilapia, like, sounds boring. I wouldn't waste my time with it, right? But if you give me a ribeye steak seared on both sides and you put that on a plate, I don't even need any salt and pepper. That sounds amazing. Salt and pepper will make it magical, right? Same thing with a fatty pork chop, a good quality pork chop. You sear it on both sides, put that on a plate, salt and pepper, like, just sounds amazing. If I'm set on fish, then if I have like some fatty fish, like some wild caught salmon cooked in butter, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, squeeze a lemon, like that sounds absolutely amazing, right? If I'm dead set on the chicken thing, if I, instead of a chicken breast, if I have like a drumstick or a leg or a wing, oven baked with some salt and pepper, like that actually sounds really good because of the skin part of it, right? And the reason that those things sound good and that they taste good, if we open ourselves up to the possibility that they're good for us, is because our taste buds gravitate us towards those things that are good for us. They gravitate us towards those things that give us energy and also give us nutrients, right? That's the way that we're geared, right? The reason that we like certain things is because from an ancestral standpoint, those things either give us energy or nutrients, right? So I think a big takeaway that I want us to take away from this discussion is that beef and pork are awesome. They're really good for you, right? Eating an animal nose to tail, fatty cuts, bone in, skin on, is really good for you, and it tastes really good. And if you're of the mindset that you only like chicken and fish, or you only eat chicken and fish, that's fine, all right? If you truly feel that way, then, again, in the animal meats realm, you can gravitate towards the things that you want. But if you're one of those people, just consider the possibility that the reason that you feel that way is because for our entire lives, we've been told that beef and pork are bad for us, right? And we've been told that saturated fat is bad for us. And we know now, we should know now, and this is another discussion that I'm going to have about saturated fat and cholesterol, but we should know now that meat is good for you. We are meat. So the more that we eat meat, the more that we give our body stuff to work with. And yes, we advocate balance in eating vegetables and fruits and starches and full fat dairy and traditional fats and stuff, but meat is really good for you. And if I'm focused on eating for nutrients and facilitating this amazing body, our amazing body, your amazing body, if I'm trying to eat in a way that facilitates this is so much more than chicken breast. This is skin and cartilage and connective tissue and tendons and ligaments and organs and so we need to be eating things that give the body those things to work with. Otherwise, we're not getting those things and we're not building an amazing body. And what we find is that when people embrace this, they become nutritionally sufficient. They lose this mindset that it's about calories and that body composition has to do with calories in, calories out, and if I eat this fatty stuff, it's going to be giving me too many calories and causing problems, right? When we start to eat in this way, we become nutritionally sufficient. Our appetite patterns change. We have auto-satiation signals. We tend to eat differently. We look, feel, and perform amazing. We lose weight automatically because we're training our bodies how to use fat for fuel. And this is what creates a freaking superhuman. It really does, right? I think that's about all I want to say around that. Yeah. If you got any questions, let me know. This is all said with an intention to help and heal people and to help people down their path. And the veterans of us have moved away from the lean meats and the skimpy things and the chicken breast, and we embrace these fatty cuts, bone in, skin on, and eating animal nose to tail, and we feel amazing. And that's how most of our people end up being over time. Okay, so anyway, thanks for listening. Holla.